Hello. So, one of the tests of this generation is that of estrangement and alienation within family, within society, within knowing, connecting to our true selves within us. And the rectification for that is the redemption, where we see the oneness of godliness in every aspect of creation. So one way, and this is our approach, to see the oneness of creation in every aspect of our lives, is to, for instance, take a headline or a story, a news story. So, just briefly, I saw today something that greatly disturbed me, and I felt very much that I wanted to discuss it briefly according to Torah. And I'm going to be discussing it from a new book from Rabbi Ginsburg called The Inner Dimension. I guess that comes up backwards. The Inner Dimension, Insight into the Weekly Torah Portion. So what I'm going to be reading is from Parshat Vayigash, The Secret of Tears. And so this video that's gone viral now, from sometime recently, from a few days ago or so, is taken in Hong Kong, and it shows family members being bussed away by the CCP for re-education. And it's not just the CCP, that this is indicative of our times, that there's an estrangement, there's an alienation, there's re-education, whatever you want to call it, of that's separating between parent and child. And how do we reunify? How do we have this grand reunification between generations, between siblings? So actually, in today's Torah portion, it's actually the start of the most classic example of parental alienation, of a child being taken away from his father, from his parents, and this is the sale of Joseph. So in this reading of today, we read about the start of this sale of originally they were going to kill him, and then they decided to sell him as a slave. So ultimately, we know what happens with Joseph and his brothers, that they reunite years later, when Joseph is a grown man with a full beard, as viceroy of Egypt. But there's different types of weeping, and this is discussed in this book, this new book by Rabbi Ginsburg. This is page 100. There's a negative weeping and despair, positive weeping of bereavement, weeping as an expression of intimacy, and weeping in sorrow with another person's sorrow. So we feel the pain of another, like with Jacob, he felt the loss of his son, and either perhaps by prophecy he knew that Joseph was alive, but he couldn't show it. But he wasn't together with his son, regardless of whether he knew or not. Still, he wasn't together with his son for many years, until nearing to the last years of his life, where he spent the best years of his life, the last, I believe it was 17 years of his life in Egypt together, and teaching even Joseph's sons, Ephraim and Manasseh. So there's There's a type of weeping that starts off as an estrangement and ultimately comes to the ultimate joy. And what the classic example of that is from Rachel, from Joseph's mother. And it says here that this is the type of weeping that will herald the redemption speedily in our days, as Jeremiah prophesies in the same prophecy in which he describes Rachel's weeping for her sons and their ultimate return to their borders. Behold, I bring them from the northern land and gather them from the loins of the earth. Among them are the blind and the lame, the pregnant woman, together with the birthing woman, a great company. Together they shall return here. They will come weeping, and with supplications I will lead them. I will conduct them along rivers of water, upon a straight road upon which they will not stumble. For I have become a father of Israel, and Ephraim is my firstborn. So the tears, and it continues, the tears of the future redemption are the tears of the reunion between the Jewish people and their Father in heaven. Tears of intimacy and arousal of great compassion, influential tears, tears of the revelation of the innermost secrets. The sages teach, just as Joseph appeased his brothers only by weeping, so too the Almighty will redeem the Jewish people by weeping. As the verse states, they will come weeping, and with supplications I will lead them. So the mindset is that it's no surprise, unfortunately, it's the birth pangs of Mashiach, that there's this alienation, estrangement, separation between parent and child, between siblings, between beloved ones. But it's also no surprise, and this is what we look forward to when Mashiach comes, that there will be the grand unification. So if we find ourselves in a very difficult state, now the mindset of those that are taken away is that even if they find themselves in the pit, like Joseph was found himself in the pit, and there's no water, meaning how can you learn Torah as compared to water? How can you learn Torah in this empty pit? Still, in order to defend oneself against the snakes and scorpions, which is taught in Jewish thought, is all types of negative thought. The way to defend oneself, if a person finds themselves, God forbid, in a pit, is to have positive faith, thoughts, trust in God that they will take them out of that pit. But for those family members that find themselves alienated and separated, sometimes forcibly, from their beloved ones, we should know that the weeping and the pain that we experience now will ultimately be turned into joy, the ultimate joy, with the coming of Mashiach, of the redemption, together with Mashiach, and the reunification of all generations and all families together, celebrating as one. Thank you.